Hi there, in today's video we are going to cover the payroll setup in Nomi. We've designed Nomi entirely from a practicer's perspective. Once you log in, you'll immediately notice this. From navigation to extensive functionality. That's why we are confident you'll relish the experience of running payroll with Nomi, which users have hailed as the most user-friendly software. In this video, we will go through various points in the payroll setup process and we'll start with importing the clients and employees. Then we will see how we can set up payroll manually. We will update the payroll settings for the company and set up the employer. After updating the PAY information, we will set up the pension scheme and then add the employees. We'll run the payroll, view the reports, how the mobile app works, and submit the RTI and pension contribution. So the very first step in Nomi payroll is to import the companies and the employees. So what you'll have to do, you have to just click on this import companies, and with the help of the sample file, you can then import all the data. In the sample file, it is mentioned that how you can update the information and you can take help of that within the CSV template. You can update all the information and then you can import the file. So this is how you can import multiple records in Nomi with the help of the template file that is offered here. Similarly, we have an option to import the employees as well. So again, you can download a template file. There is sample data provided to you in that template file, and you can take help of that and update the information for all the employees in different companies. So only two files are required. One file is required to import the employer records, that is the client records, and another file is to import all the employee records in those companies. So with the help of these two files, you can import all the data. You can even import the YTD data as well. Now, once you have imported the data, all the clients will get listed on the clients section on the left hand side. Apart from this, like you can see, you have the KPIs here, the automatic payrolls, manual payrolls, the pensions you have set up, the P11Ds, and the total number of clients. And here you can see the uh, deadlines getting due for payroll and pension and what is assigned to different team members. You can also run the payroll in bulk if you want to. From this screen, you can send the emails in bulk. You can submit the RTI in bulk, and you can then submit the P11D as well in bulk from here, and also the pension contributions. And the whole idea behind these uh, dashboards is to save you a lot of admin time. So you don't have to go individually into each and every company, and you can do the bulk process directly from here, whether it is related to the payroll process, RTI submission, P11D submission, or the pension contribution. Now, let's say you're not doing the payroll, like you're not importing the data into Nomi, and only for one client or few of the clients you want to do it, and you want to set up the payroll manually. Then what you'll have to do, so you'll have to click on clients on the left hand side, and under clients, the very first step is to add a client. So you have to click on new client in the top right side, and then click on limited company, sole trader, partnership, LLP. And once you click on this, and when you add a company from here, let's say it's Nomisma, we can take example of this, and we can create a company. So as we create a company, two services are created by default, that is bookkeeping and final accounts. We will now move to the client screen, and we'll take example of a company here. So on the client screen, you can see that ACD Limited, it's a company there, and it only has a bookkeeping and final account service. There is no payroll service for this company. So to enable the payroll service, we will have to click on the bookkeeping service first. And as we click on the bookkeeping service, then we are into the bookkeeping module where we have a payroll option on the left hand side. And as we click on the payroll option, then it takes us to the payroll dashboard. So here we are on the payroll dashboard, and then we can update the settings under the payroll. So I will take example of another company, that is Nomi Limited, and I will show you how the payroll setup works and how we can set up a company in payroll. So on the payroll dashboard of this company, that is Nomi Limited, the very first option is to click on edit company. And as we click on edit company, Then the first option is that from inactive, we have to set the status to active. So whenever we are setting up the payroll for the first time manually for any company or any client, then the company status is set to inactive, and from inactive we can set this to active. The company details are updated, that is company name, address line 1, 2. You can update that as well. You can upload a logo of your choice here, and this will become the part of the payslip. Then next is the contact details. So here you have to add the employer details and give them the access of payroll approval, timesheet approval, leave management, and expense management. So what do they mean? So in payroll approval, we can send a approval request to the client that we are processing the payroll and so are the details. The P32 report is attached, the payroll summary report, and the pay slips as well. The client can view these reports and they can log in online, and then they can approve the payroll. Then timesheet approval is there, so we can request the timekeeping data from them. They can update that information as well. Then we have the leave management. So under leave management, the employees can apply for leaves because employees also get a portal access in Nomi. They can apply for the leaves, and through the employees portal, they can then view their pay slips, their personal information. They can apply for leaves and apply for expenses, and they can also check the leave balances. So once they apply for a leave, the employer can then approve that leave, and that gets updated into the employee record in Nomi. Now, expense management we have, so expense management as well is there, like any bonus or commission, if it is requested by the employee to the employer can approve it, the employer can also add it, and you can also add the expenses at your end. And if the employer has approved it or employer has added any such expense, then it gets updated into the employee record. Now how the employer view would look like, you can see here. So first is the dashboard. It will show you all the employees there, then the company details. And here we can view all the information related to the company. Then we have reports such as P60, P45, P11T forms, and the pay slips as well. And then we have the employee expenses. So here the employer can add the expense by clicking on this add expense, and they can also like approve any of the expenses requested by the employees. Then leave management is there, so we can click on pending for approval, and here any leaves applied by the employees would get listed. And you can also check like the employer will check here what are the approved leaves, if they've rejected anything, and if there's anything under the leaves history. Then fill request hours is a place where they can update the number of hours worked by different employees. So on the screen, the employer can update how many hours every employee has worked. And finally, the approved payroll. So under approved payroll, we will find a P32 report, that is a payroll summary, and here we get the approve and query labels in the bottom of the screen. And the employer, if they are happy with this, they can approve it. If not, they can just query and put the notes. So that is there. Now we'll move back to the payroll settings, and we can add the departments as well. If we want to, we can allocate the employees to these departments, and the department name will be listed on the payslip. Then payroll details, so registration date, this is the PAY registration date. If you're aware of that, then only enter it. Otherwise, you can skip this one. Then you will have to enter the PAY reference number and account office reference number on the screen. Once you update the PAY reference number and account office reference number, then you'll be able to submit the RTI. So these are the very much required fields which you have to update. Then close PAY scheme is something, let's say if the employer is looking to close the PAY scheme, they don't want to employ anyone. So first you will have to generate a P45 for the employees, and once you generate the P45 and mark them as leavers, then you have to come onto the screen, set this to yes, and after that, once you set this to yes, then what you can do, you can enter a deregistration date on the screen, and the software will generate a EPS, and it will communicate to the HMRC that the employer wants to deregister for the PAY scheme. Then bookkeeping links we have. So this is linked with the bookkeeping, and it posts the journals back into the bookkeeping module. And even if you're not doing bookkeeping in Nomi, you can export the journals. So, and you can do the advanced mapping as well here. So you can click on this and you can do the advanced mapping for all the employees. Now we have the P11D in place. So if you're doing the P11D, you can set this to yes, and you can file the P11D, the benefits and expenses for different employees. Payment management we have. If you enable this, then you get a payment reconciliation option under the tax payment on the left hand side. Then registered for CIS. So if the employer, this particular company is registered for CIS and you set this to yes, then a record is created under the CIS dashboard as a contractor, and the company UTR also you will have to mention. After this, we have payroll settings. So you can click on that. You will have to enter the Nomisma start date. So let's say you're starting in the month of May, then you can update the date here as 6th of May 2024. So whatever is the period, you will have to update that date. And then company pension. So you will have to update the company pension. And if there is a pension scheme in place, you can set this to yes. As you set this to yes, you will find that a pension dashboard is there on the left hand side. Before that, the pension dashboard will not appear, and you will also find the pension details tab on the screen. Then we have the frequencies. So different frequencies are there, and you can add the frequencies from here, like annually, fortnightly, 4 weekly, and weekly. And then you can update the payment date. Then we have automatic payroll. So here you can click on disabled. As you click on disabled, a pop-up will show up. So it says by enabling this, your payroll will automatically be filed with HMRC and payslips will be sent to the employer or employees. And then you can click on continue. As you click on continue, here you can again select to whom the payslip should be sent, and what is the reply to email, and at what time it should be sent here. So that also you can select, and you can also email the employee summary to the main contact. And this is how you can set up the payroll. The payroll is then processed automatically by the software. It is more useful in the case of director only companies, or in the companies where employees are paid on a fixed payment basis, and the software will run the payroll, submit the RTI, communicate the reports, and everything is done by the software. So payslip template we have. So you can choose whether you want a blue template or a green template on the screen. You can then display the leaves on the payslip if you want to. You can set this to yes. You can request payroll information. If you set this to yes, you will get a request hours label on the dashboard. And then we have what file type should be sent via email. So you can send PDF files or zip files, and you can make them password protected as well. So here you can set this to yes. The pop-up will appear, and you can use these tags to set up the password. And you can also provide a customized password like this. Then we have allowances and schemes. So under allowances and schemes, we can claim the employment allowance if we are looking, or the employer is looking to make the payment on a quarterly basis of the HMRC liability. Then you can set this to yes, and the HMRC liability will show every quarter and not every month. And if the employer is qualified for the small employers relief, then you can set this to yes. And then we have apprenticeship levy. So this is calculated by the software automatically based on the turnover. And then we have different hourly pay types. So at the company level, you can update it, and this will show for all the employees who are paid on hourly basis, and you can update the number of hours worked by them for different pay rates. Then pension details tab is there. Here we can update all the information, and this we usually find on the pension providers portal, where we can update all the information. So once we get the information, we can update it here, such as the staging date, re-enrollment date, signatory title, signatory name, email address, phone number, and pension ID. And the next is general terms. Here we can update the bank details of the employer. And then we have the common contractual terms, which we can update on the screen. So once all this data is updated, we can move back to payroll dashboard. And if we go and check on the client list under Agent Hub, we will find that the service is active. So you can just refresh the screen, and you will see that apart from the bookkeeping and final accounts, you will find a payroll service active as well. So tomorrow, if you make the bookkeeping and final accounts inactive, you will still find the payroll as an active service. Now, the next step from here is to click on the pension dashboard and set up a pension scheme. So to set up a pension scheme, we have to click on add scheme and then click on link with pension sync. Let's say Nest is the provider, so now we have a direct integration with Nest. So we can click on this and then we can log in from here. And once we authorize the pension scheme, then after that we can click on view schemes, and then we can also fetch the information here. Like we have to select this and click on get scheme. And let's say if the pension provider is different than Nest, then we have to click on link with pension sync. Select the pension provider, let's say Aviva, click on authorize. It will take us to the portal. We have to log in online and authorize the pension scheme, and the same step we have to follow there under the view schemes and fetch the pension scheme. After this, we can move back to payroll dashboard, and then we can add the employees. So to add the employee, we have to click on this new employee, and here we can add the employee manually. So the title is there: first name, last name, gender, date of birth, address line 1 and 2, postcode, email address also we should mention here. Then we have the mandatory payroll information where we can enter the joining date. So joining date is a date on which the employee has joined that company, so that is the joining date. And then we have the payment frequency, payment method, the national insurance number, national insurance category, tax code. If the employee is a director, then we can set this to yes and provide their appointment date and the national insurance calculation method. Then we have the payment details on the screen. So payment details, the most important here is the portal login username, where we can give the access to employees of a secured portal. Once we give the access, when we click on send login, they receive an email from the software, and in that email there is a login username which can be their email and a password provided by the software, and a link is also there. They can click on the link and they can log in online, and they can then view their pay slips, they can apply for leaves, they can apply for expenses, all that they can do from there. And then it says how the payment is worked out. So we can say it's on annual salary, day rate, hourly rate, or weekly rate. Let's say if it's on annual salary, then we can update that here, and it will automatically take the basic monthly salary, the weekly rate, day rate, all of that. And after this we have the expenses and benefits. So under expenses and benefits, we can do the P11D, we can add the cars, loans, and other expenses. Then we have the auto enrollment. So already we have added the pension scheme. Now we have to just update the status, group, and the scheme here, and update the enrollment date, and the chosen contribution is updated, the 5% and 3%. If there is any voluntary contribution, you can update it. Rest you can just set this to 0. Finally, we have the general terms. So you can reset this with the company standard, or if it is different to that, you can update it here, and you can update the annual leave schedule as well. And then we have the emergency contact, so you can update that on the screen, and then you can click on save. We have options like save and next, save and previous, add employee. So toggle options we have. You don't have to again and again go on the payroll dashboard for such things. You can quickly add the employees from here as well. So this is the third step. This is how you can activate a company. You can set up a company in payroll. You can update the pension scheme, and you can add the employees as well. We have a detailed demonstration on the payroll module, which takes you through on how to run the payroll, submit the RTI, and communicate the reports and all of that. So that also you can go through. That is on our website. And if you have any questions, you can get in touch on support@nomi.co.uk. I hope this video is helpful, and it will really help you in setting up the payroll if you're doing it manually. And you can also import the data from those two files, that is the import employer and the employees.